Welcome back, everyone. Hope you're doing amazing. We have Gladiator Gatorade. Now that's awesome because I'm drinking Gatorade now. This is, of course, tasting history with Max Miller, vinegar and ashes. I think we've seen this almost like an accompanied recipe, but not a distinct video on it. So let's jump right in, shall we?
After a long day of training or a fight in the Colosseum, a Roman gladiator might need something to kind of refresh themselves. Unfortunately, they got a couple millennia before Gatorade would be invented. So instead, they drank a concoction of vinegar and plant ash, and that's what we're making
Plant ash? I'm trying to understand.
today. Gladiator Gatorade, this time on Drinking History.
Beautiful.
In the city of Ephesus, archaeologists have found gladiator bones that have a very high amount of strontium and calcium. And Pliny the Elder, quoting Varro,
It's always Pliny the Elder.
explains why. For convulsions or contusions of the viscera, let the hearth be your medicine box. For a lye of ashes taken from thence, mixed with your drink, will effect a cure. Witness the gladiators, for example, who, when disabled at the games, refresh themselves with this drink. So that's kind of what we're making today,
And how did they come about this?
except I'm not going to be drinking lye because, well, that's stupid. But instead I am going to be mixing some plant ash into a posca of wine vinegar, water, and honey. And for more information on posca, watch this video. I'll put a link up there where I talk about posca.
I think that's what we did.
So first we need some ash. Unfortunately, I have a gas fireplace. So instead I am opting for culinary ash that is often used in Hopi cooking from the Hopi tribe in Arizona, which is where I'm from. And so that's what I'm going to be using. I would stick to culinary ash because you never know what's in any kind of other ash. In fact, maybe don't make this at all. Maybe just leave this to me.
Yeah, maybe.
Watch me try not to poison myself
Yeah.
while you kick back with a soda or something like that.
Or a
Then I'll need
Gatorade.
some wine vinegar and some honey and of course some water. So all we're gonna do is mix this together. We don't have any real quantities of how much we put in. Hopefully not so much ash that I don't know what a safe amount of ash is. I looked at some recipes where it's used and I've kind of gleaned how much I am going to be able to use. So let's hope I'm right.
Red wine vinegar?
So just a little bit of that wine vinegar that really adds the electrolytes and whatnot. And then just a bit of this plant ash. And stir.
It looks too cloudy.
Alrighty then. I am going to pour this through a strainer simply because there seems to be, you know, some of the ash has larger particles. See how
Smart.
this goes.
I need one of those.
Want to bet I'm not going to drink this whole thing? Now, before I try this potion, I'll remind you that on Tuesday's episode, we talked about some of the food that gladiators ate and talked about the life of some typical gladiator. But today we're going to be counting down the top 5 atypical gladiators.
Atypical gladiators? What you mean?
So the typical gladiator only fought a few times before dying in their mid-20s. But
Darn.
our number 5 gladiator,
And they mostly were slaves.
Flamma, defied those odds. Number 5, Flamma. He was a Syrian gladiator during the time of Hadrian and became one of the most famous gladiators in the Roman Empire. His gravestone reads, Flamma secutor, fought 34 times, won 21 times.
How do you win 21 times? I guess that you're spared.
Fought to a draw 9 times, won reprieve 4 times. And what makes him exceptional is that on 4 different occasions he was awarded the rudis, or the wooden sword or baton that was given to a gladiator to award them their freedom. And every single time he turned it down, opting instead to remain a gladiator.
Why? For the love of the game?
Exceptional, yes. Exceptionally smart?
No.
Because while he did make it past that mid-20s mark, he died at 30. Number 4, Spiculus. Now, he would land on pretty much any list of top gladiators ever in his own right. He was really the Mike Tyson of his age. But the reason that he is on our list is because of one of his fans. Spicalus's biggest fan was the Emperor Nero, and whenever the gladiator won a fight, Nero gave him properties and villas equal to those of men who had celebrated triumphs. He became one of the wealthiest gladiators in history, and Nero was such a fan.
How is he so wealthy? I guess he had to keep fighting to keep it up then.
Of his, that when he was overthrown in 68 AD, he reached out to the gladiator and asked him to kill him. Unfortunately, either because he couldn't be reached or because he was like, new phone who dis, Spiculus did not kill him. Instead, Nero had to commit suicide. Number 3, Mevia, the Gladiatrix. So there were a number of female gladiators in ancient Rome, but they tended to be seen more as oddities rather than anything else. Sometimes they would dress up as Amazons and fight mythical mock battles, and sometimes they would be pitted against like amputees or wounded animals in a sick form of mockery. Often they were the poorest of the poor, but the poet Juvenal speaks of rich women who have lost all sense of the dignities and duties of their sex.
This is very different, very atypical. Like, I didn't even know there were women gladiators at all.
And he also gives us one of the only names for one of these gladiatrices, Mevia. Mevia transfixes the Tuscan boar and with breasts exposed grasps the hunting spears. Though while this sounds exceptional, it's part of a list of kind of things that he's ridiculing, so they didn't have a great reputation. Number 2, the Emperor Commodus.
Yeah, obviously we know Commodus, and probably number 1 Spartacus, right?
Now, many emperors actually fought in the arena, including Caligula, Caracalla, Titus, and even Hadrian. But none is more famous than Commodus, perhaps because he was featured in the movie Gladiator.
Joaquin! Love Joaquin.
But typically, when an emperor was fighting, the risk to them was minimal. Cassiodeo writes of some of Commodus's exploits in the arena. On the first day, he killed 100 bears all by himself.
100 bears. 100. No, I don't believe you.
Shooting down at them from the railing of the balustrade. On another day, he descended to the arena from his place above and cut down all the animals that approached him. They were led up to him or brought before him in nets.
And they were probably like sacrificed, more or less, or executed, not killed.
Yeah, that's not really as impressive as he might think it is. Though he did actually fight gladiators, but it doesn't seem that those bouts were all that dangerous either. Cassius Dio says that only after the emperor went back to his seat up in the stands did the contests no longer resemble child's play, but were so serious that great numbers of men were killed. Though that didn't stop Commodus from dedicating a statue to himself with the inscription, "Champion of Secutores, only left-handed fighter to conquer 12 times 1,000 men." Sure, Jan. And number 1, Spartacus.
Of course.
Without a doubt, the most famous gladiator in history was, of course, Spartacus. And not just because he has an excellent movie and a mediocre TV show made after him. No, it was because he led his fellow gladiators and other slaves in the Third Servile War, or Spartacus's War. It was a slave revolt that threatened to topple the Roman Republic. It lasted 2 years, during which time Spartacus bested a number of generals in the Roman army until Marcus Licinius Crassus took over.
And then, of course, this is the Third Servile War. There was 2 others that were prior to that, so they drew inspiration each time.
The writer Appian says that after a particularly bad defeat, Crassus punished his own soldiers. He decimated the whole army and was not deterred by their numbers, but destroyed about 4,000 of them. Whichever way it was, he demonstrated to them that he was more dangerous to them than the enemy.
That's a crazy power move, by the way.
So with his army more afraid of him than they were of Spartacus, it actually started to turn the tide of the war, and eventually Spartacus was defeated. But his legacy was such that he was one of the factors that led to a law that said that no Roman citizen could have more than 320 pairs of gladiators in Rome at any time.
I mean, it's a security threat at that point.
Not sure why they put them in pairs. Let's just say 640, but...
Buddies.
Either way, it still seems like a lot of gladiators to me, but I guess it was less than they had before. So that's our top 5 atypical gladiators. And now it is time for me to try this atypical gladiatorial drink.
Cheers.
Ah, mamma mia.
Mine was better. No way.
It's actually really refreshing.
There's no way.
I mean,
he did dilute the ashes or strain the ashes, and he didn't put a lot in there.
I don't know. Nope, there it is. I was going to say the ash doesn't really contribute anything.
Aftertaste?
You just kind of get that slight sourness, the bite from the vinegar, and then the sweetness of the honey, which actually isn't that bad. But then at the end, you get this almost smokiness. And the Romans actually used to use ash in cooking to add a bit of a smokiness. They would use oak ash and acacia, I believe. But yeah, not bad. Am I going to finish this?
No.
No, I am not. Yeah, but you know, it was fun to make. It's fun.
That's awesome. All these things I want to try at least once. All these things that he makes. Really fun as always. There's a ton of videos for tasting history. So let me know what your video that you like, that you want us to react to. Put it down below. I appreciate you guys as always, and until next time, peace out. Bye bye.